These are most of the different sizes that yarn comes in. Most of which are wool, so the comparison would be easier. This is a typical fine lace weight yarn. Scarcely bigger than thread. That's alpaca. This is a merino lace weight yarn, which is heavier than the alpaca, but still very fine. This is fingering weight sock yarn. So you can tell it's starting to get thicker, more yarn sized. Obviously it's for socks. This is sport weight Wensleydale. And you'd start knitting jumpers with something this size. DK or double knitting. We're starting to get into the quick yarns now. It's almost worsted, but not quite. A heavy DK or a light worsted. That's this one here. You can knit a pretty quick hat out of that. That's wool. Standard worsted weight. This is Cascade 220. This is pretty much the standard yarn. This is what you find in all the little cheapo stores too. Just plain old worsted weight. 4.5 stitches to the inch. Heavy worsted weight. This is a very typical wool. This is from Ireland. It's Shetland wool. And it's a heavy worsted weight right now, which means it's going to get 4 stitches to the inch. And it will bloom when you wash it, which means all the fibers will sort of puff up and interlock a little bit and basically create a waterproof barrier, which is why this is what's used for men's jumpers in Ireland. This is Aran weight. This is typically the weight that would be used for a sweater, an Irish sweater. Obviously the name Aran comes from the Aran Islands. So this is about 3.75 through to 3.75 stitches per inch, depending on the needle size. And this is a merino mohair blend. This is chunky weight. This you would get probably 3 stitches to the inch, size 10.5 needles. This is a perfect beginner yarn. This is 100% wool. Very nice stuff. Bulky weight. This is what you would use to make something like a big fat scarf, or sort of my yarn of choice for sweaters because it's so fast. It's what my pastel sweater was made with. This you get 2.5 to 3 stitches per inch. And this is a single ply, not a multi-ply like the other yarns I've shown you. Then you get into super bulky, and anything this big and up and all kinds of different shapes. There's many different kinds of super bulky yarns. This basically, there's very little yardage on this, but it's enough for a hat. Work it up in about an hour because the stuff is so thick. So that is a little yarn primer, essentially, of the different weights. And this is what would be called a skein. This is a cake. This is what happens when you pull it off the ball winder. That would be a ball. And that is a hank when it's untwisted like that. And this is how most of this yarn was purchased, just like this, to show all of the colors, and then wound up into a skein like that.